All right, welcome to the W2W Review. I'm the Oakland Knight, and joining me today, as always, is my partner in crime, Raider Pirate. What's up, Pirate?
What's up, Raider Nation?
All right, Raider Nation, we got a great show for you today. We got three topics that we're going to get into today that's absolutely what we would call meaty, man. It's full of information, full of hype. We hope you guys enjoy it. Some of the topics we're going over today is NFL power rankings. We're also going to talk about who's going to win the AFC West and who's going to be Coach of the Year in the NFL. Three interesting topics that we're going to cover here today on the review. So, Raider Pirate, what do you have as far as what we got going on and on what the predictions are in the power rankings this morning?
Yeah, well, it looks pretty interesting. So it looks like Brian Roth put out on Chat Sports, he put out an article, Midsummer 2016 NFL Power Rankings. And basically with the 2016 NFL season less than 2 months away and with training camps ready to begin, he says all the teams around the league are starting to look at the chances of them making it into the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl. And that it's realistic for some teams, but probably unrealistic for others. And they give us a breakdown. Carolina, obviously, is dominating the number 1 spot. Arizona Cardinals at number 2. Seattle Seahawks at number 3. New England Patriots, Steelers, Packers. The Denver Broncos at 7. Bengals at 8. Minnesota Vikings at 9. Kansas City Chiefs come in at number 10. The Dallas Cowboys at 11, and our Raiders come in at a whopping number 12. Now, I did a little bit of a background from last year, and at this time last year, we were at number 29. So that's a pretty big, that's a significant difference from last year to this year. Indianapolis at 13, Washington 14. Some other notable picks I think to look at: Jacksonville Jaguars are at 20. The LA Rams for the market here is at number 21. New Orleans, who we're going to be facing week 1, is ranked at number 25. So we shouldn't be an underdog going into that particular contest. San Diego Chargers to wrap up the AFC West at number 29, a position I think that in the past, right? In the past, that's generally been where we've been at, 29, 30, maybe jumping up to 28. To sort of round it out, the 49ers at 31 and the Cleveland Browns are the cellar dwellers at this point. Now, again, I think we know that this really doesn't mean very much. I went ahead and looked back last year, and I think the Denver Broncos were rated at number 7. Interestingly enough, same spot where they're rated this year. And I think Carolina was at 12 or 13, or even lower than that. I'm not really sure. But I was kind of looking at it, and the top 6 teams didn't even make the Super Bowl last year. So again, it is kind of a good thing, I think, to be maybe not in the mid-range, 15, 18, in those types of areas. But I think being just out of the top 10 gives you some potential to get in there. And I think probably being 1 or 2 doesn't, guarantee you. You're probably going to make the playoffs, but it doesn't guarantee you kind of access to the Super Bowl. So you can take this with a grain of salt. I'm excited. I mean, number 12, that's a pretty good ranking heading into preseason. Again, some of these things are going to change based on injuries from training camp, and then how we're doing in the preseason. But this is just heading sort of into preseason. And again, they're going to take into consideration training camp and what happens in preseason, and I'm sure the numbers will change from there. But what do you think about that, partner? We're talking about number 7, the Denver Broncos, number 10, the Kansas City Chiefs, number 12, the Oakland Raiders, number 29, the San Diego Chargers. Do you think, come in third place? Well, first of all, what do you think about that schedule?
Well, I think it's a testament to what we've been saying this whole offseason, which is we're reporting on what the mainstream media is reporting, right? Which is all this hype that surrounds our football team. So to go from 29 all the way to 12, what's the significant value in that? For me, it's really simple, man. On 6, there's AFC and NFC, 6 teams from each conference get a crack at the Super Bowl that make the playoffs. So coming in at number 12, even though it's going to be a mixture of teams in that top 12, could be dominant, NFC dominant, AFC. But the fact that we're number 12 just lets us know that we are looked at as a playoff team, bare minimum. So regardless of where we rank, ultimately at the end of the day, right now, before training camp, they got us as a playoff contender. So that's all we really want at this point, is to be playoff contenders, because 1, we haven't been there in going on 14 years. 2, at this stage of the game, you want the opportunity to win the Super Bowl. That's always the ultimate goal. So first priority is you take care of your division, usually you get into the playoffs. But getting into the playoffs is really where you want to set yourself up for a run if you want a chance. That's why Carolina wasn't even ranked in the top 12 as a playoff team, but because when the season started, they became so dominant, especially defensively, they found themselves contending for the Super Bowl title against the Broncos. So this early on to be number 12 is a testament to exactly where this organization has worked so hard to get to, which is being in the mouth and in the heads of everybody around the nation. Whether you're a media source or you're a coaching staff on another football team, or you're, just another average fan that's looking at football teams and looking at, you're getting ready for fantasy football, and now you're sitting there going, okay, do I want Crabtree, Amari Cooper, Derek Carr, Khalil Mack, the Raiders defense? We're actually starting to get into these conversations, and this is something that us as fans, we've been waiting, like I said, 13 years to get to this point. So the time is now, Raider Nation. Get excited, because this might just be a simple list on a simple website by a media source, but you know what? It's a big testament. It reminds me of this. This is my final thought on it, and I'll kick it back to you, Pirate. Back in, I believe it was 98 or 99, when the Rams were the fastest show on turf, they came from a 4-12 record a year before, and they were practically unbeatable, okay? And they won the Super Bowl. I want to bring that up because it's simple. People are like, well, you were 3-13, you went to 70. No, we made some leaps and bounds, but if a team like the Rams can go from 4-12 into one of the best teams that we've ever seen, especially offensively, the Raiders can go from 7-9 to the Super Bowl. It is possible. So it's just, take this list for what it is. The exciting thing is if everything turns out the way that we believe it, by the end of training camp heading into September, we could actually move up that list. What are your thoughts, Pirate?
No, I absolutely agree. You brought up the Carolina Panthers. I think they were 7-8-1, and they were able to turn their season around, and I think then you move up, and now they're ranked up at number 1, not off of years and years like the New England Patriots or the Seattle Seahawks are, or even the Arizona Cardinals for that matter, but just based on sort of a brief history of them getting really good really quickly. And again, there'll be a little bit said about the way that they play football and the style of football that they play that other teams kind of can't play. But the fact of the matter is that they were able to make that jump. Now, like you said, if you look, we're talking about an NFC-heavy sort of top 10. You're looking at Carolina 1, Arizona Cardinals 2, Seattle Seahawks 3, Green Bay Packers 6, Minnesota Vikings 9, right? So then you start looking and you say, okay, New England Patriots 4, Pittsburgh Steelers 5, Denver Broncos 7, Bengals 8, Chiefs 10, right? So if you look at it from that perspective and you start making playoff brackets, again, if you take the first 6 seeds, New England, Pittsburgh, Denver would come out of the West, Cincinnati would be a wild card, Kansas City would be a wild card, and then I think Indianapolis would probably fall in there ahead of the Raiders at this point. But still, again, if we're just looking at overall records, it could be between the Chiefs and the Raiders. And again, we could potentially be above the Chiefs by the time the season starts. So And again, the Chargers down there at 29, I'm sure they're not going to stay down there for very long. But I think this is, it's an interesting list. And I think that, again, if you really look at it, there's potential for us to make some big moves here. So again, I'm pretty excited, just kind of looking at it. But again, like I said, looking at last year's list, these types of lists don't mean much unless perennially you have competed at a very high level for a very long time. So again, if you're the Seattle Seahawks, the New England Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Green Bay Packers, even the Broncos, and I shouldn't even be saying that, but it's just because of the uncertainty at quarterback. But the Cincinnati Bengals, who have been there, I kind of look at it. Minnesota Vikings, okay, yeah, they potentially should be there, based on what they've been able to do, the running back position, solidity at the quarterback position. But again, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, these are guys that kind of perennially get in there based on kind of just having mediocre football teams and not bringing a lot to the show at the end of the day. So it's a extremely interesting list. And it'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out, when we, again, if there are injuries to some of these key teams. We were looking at the holdout of Von Miller, and now that's taken care of. But if you start losing a player or two, last year, interestingly enough, I think it was Houston that dropped down 5 spots because of Arian Foster's injury. I think the highest jumper last year was the Giants. They jumped up 5. But generally speaking, we're going to move up 1 or we're going to move down 1. There's the potential to move up 2 if we have a really, really good camp. There's the potential to move down 2 if we have a really, really horrible camp or some type of controversy comes out, something of that nature. So, but other than that, I think it looks pretty solid to me. And, I think it was our first show. Somebody asked, nobody else is talking about it. Should I talk the talk before this team walks the walk? Well, it looks like, from my opinion, there's a lot of people that are talking about it at this point. And like you said, Knight, I think it's time that we can all begin the process of talking the talk. Excuse me.
No, for sure. As far as we go, we need to talk the talk. We talk the talk as fans. It's up to the team to walk the walk. So I think we're at a point where we could walk the walk. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to look at the controversy of what the power rankings say and what some other media sources are saying about the AFC West. We'll get into that as soon as we get back. We'll be right back, guys.
MMM Carpets is celebrating the holidays with a huge inventory clearance sale. We have the best prices and guaranteed installation. Why would you buy anywhere else? Whether you're looking for laminate, vinyl, carpet, tile, or wood, we have it all. Save up to 50% on selected items. Room size rugs, only $69. Visit MMM Carpets at one of our 6 Bay Area locations or call us at 1-800-355-4MMM.
All right, welcome back, Raider Nation, to the W2W Review. We just got done talking about the power rankings here in the NFL and how the Raiders jumped up from number 29 all the way up to number 12 heading into training camp. As remarkable as that is, we are looking at some contradicting statements going around mainstream media where you got the power rankings saying that we're number 12, where they have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 10 and the Denver Broncos at number 7. But then you got places like the NFL Network, I believe it is, right, Pirate? The NFL Network got us winning the AFC West. Now, how in the power rankings could we be ranked number 12, the Chiefs be number 10, and the Broncos be number 7, yet people are talking Raiders to win the West? What you got for me, Pirate?
Yeah, well, and again, this is sort of just one guy that's kind of coming out here, right? So Levi Damien kind of put out this report on SB Nation, on SB Nation on Silver and Black Pride. He went ahead and put out a Saturday panel of NFL analysts were asked in their way too early. Again, we're gonna emphasize that way too early NFL honors segment, who their picks were going to be for the 2016 AFC West or AFC West leaders, and I think that there was some consensus there from a couple of people, but I think really only one guy was kind of, putting himself on the line there and saying, hey, I think that the Oakland Raiders are going to win this division outright. So again, I think it's raising some eyebrows. But I think in another sense, I think it's becoming sort of that kind of popular pick. This is a young team. They've got a tremendous amount of talent. One report, Oakland is perhaps the most promising young team in the league, and many think that this is the year that they put it all together with players like Derek Carr at quarterback, Amari Cooper at wide receiver, and Khalil Mack at outside linebacker / defensive end, plus all of the other players that they've brought in as accessories, that it's going to end not only the Raiders' postseason drought, but potentially it will be their roadmap to the AFC West title. So, again, this is a tough division right now. Even we just talked about it with the Chargers down at 29. I don't believe the Chargers will stay there. Just like I never believed when they put us at 29 that we would stay at 29. And there were times where we did and probably fell a little bit below. But I think that the Chargers are still a very, very difficult team. I think when people expect the Chargers to win, they lose. And I think when they expect the Chargers to lose, they come out and they have a good season. So not a good sign for the Chargers. It means I think mentally the team is weak and it can't handle the ability to take that success and kind of kick in the door like we've talked about many times and take advantage of that. But when you look at it, Denver, again, we've talked about it before, good defense, Von Miller's going to be back. They've played together for a while, Super Bowl champions. This is a team that is going to come in and they're going to tell the offense, put it on our shoulders. We can handle it. It's still going to be a tough team playing in a unique type of environment at Mile High. So they've got the advantage there. Kansas City, again, vanilla every time. This is when we talk about football in terms of offense, defense, schemes, and things like that. Kansas City, to me, is the special teams of the National Football League. You don't like to talk about it. There's nothing really flashy about it, but you realize that it's part of the game, so you should probably pay attention to it. They've got a good defense, but again, this is just a team that I see as just a very, very vanilla football team, and that could change this year. So I don't want to, put them down too much. But then you see the Raiders, and it's just extremely, extremely exciting. And I'll let you go ahead and cover that.
This is where I find things to get really interesting, and this is where we're at that time of year where it's really hard to just nail down exactly what we foresee, because just like the power rankings, just like the gentleman, on the NFL analyst board saying that, the Raiders could win this division, we need to understand that where we sit before training camp we're really at the speculation stage, right? We have some good OTAs, we have some good mini camps, we had some good drafts the last few years. Everything's lining up. We had a great offseason again, picking up Osemele and Bruce Irvin and Sean Smith and Reggie Nelson. All that is great. So that's where this hype is built from. But we'll have a lot of questions answered in training camp and some of these preseason games, even though you can't bank everything you see off what's reported over training camp and what we see in preseason games. You get an idea, especially with this Raider team that's coming up in a second year of a lot of expectations. We'll have a good feel to what's going on. And here's the thing. As of right now, heading into training camp, yes, I have a second in the division. And it's really hard to say which one's going to rise to the top, right? Kansas City or Denver. Just banking on the fact that Denver's returning Super Bowl champions, the defense that they carry. But I'll go ahead and give it to Denver at this point, because to be the best, you got to beat the best. So I would like Denver to be the one. I'd like to take them out like we did last year in one game, but I'd like to beat them both. But here's the way I look at it. When you look at the top three, which would be Broncos, Chiefs, and Raiders at this point. When you look at the Denvers, you automatically think defense. They're a defensive powerhouse, and even though they lost some key pieces, everybody expects the defense to be strong with Ware and Von Miller. Aqib Talib just shot himself, so there's speculation there. I mean, he's off crutches. When he's walking, okay, that's fine, but how's that going to affect him on the field? When you look at the Chiefs, they're predominantly offensive heavy in the running game anyway, and then they got some defensive players, but a lot of their key defensive players are not 100% heading into training camp. So you got question marks there. So you can make them one-sided. What I like about our Raider team, okay, from where I stand, is we are balanced. Okay, here at the Will to Win, because me and you both feel the same way about this. Our defense is going to be strong this year, and I know, not some people are talking about it, but I don't think people realize how strong this defense is going to be. It's going to be strong, but you take that and you also put a balanced offense together where all we need is a running game, and this offense is going to take off once again. But I think it'll sustain itself over the course of the season and not fall off halfway through. So even if we're playing the Broncos and the Chiefs, and it becomes a defensive battle, I think we have the edge because our offense is so balanced. We got great receivers. We got the quarterback. All we need is the running game. And defensively, we're going to just improve leaps and bounds. So, Denver's offense is still going to struggle, whether it's Mark Sanchez or a rookie. It's going to be the same as last year. And I think our defense is even going to be better. So we should dominate them there. The same with the Chiefs. Jamal Charles is coming off a big knee injury. He's not, even if he's 100%, I don't think he's going to be himself. I mean, I don't think he's built like Adrian Peterson. He's not known for that. He's more of a speedster. So he's lost, he busted up one of his limbs. I don't think Jamar Charles will be the same running back we've seen over the course of the last 3 years. That's the reason why I believe the Oakland Raiders have a chance to take the AFC West, is because we are balanced, both offensively, defensively, and we're primarily, I think the only question mark you could have on an injury side of things would be Michael Crabtree, because he had Achilles problems. But he's 2 years removed, and he showed strength, and he played all last season. So there's no question marks in injuries as of right now. We need to knock on wood. Hopefully there's no injuries. We're young, we're dynamic, and we're balanced. That's why I personally believe we do have a chance to rise up and take the AFC West. Your thoughts, partner?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I agree, and I actually think it's probably going to be the Chiefs that are going to probably win the division in a vanilla fashion. They're probably going to have some decent games that they probably should lose that they win, and they're going to win the games that they should win in unimpressive fashion, unless Charles does come back and just tears it up like Adrian Peterson did. But I think I think Denver's going to be number 3. In this division. But again, if we're ranked number 3rd in the division, how did we get to this portion? Well, it all comes pretty much from the same article. Again, when they were talking, they were saying, well, who's going to be coach of the year? And, the first 2 picks from the different analysts weren't very surprising. Chris Canty said it was going to be his former defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer, with the Vikings. Jamie Dukes said that it was going to be Bruce Arians with the Arizona Cardinals. And then Elliot Harris came out and he said that he thought it was going to be Jack Del Rio and the Raiders, right? He said that he liked what the Raiders were building, and that a lot of people liked what the Raiders are building, like we just said. But whenever that people mention the Raiders, they have to understand that Jack Del Rio may be the architect behind it. He pointed to the Bruce Irvin signings, and he pointed to the quarterback position. But he said it's not always just on the players. Part of Derek Carr's development has been because of Jack Del Rio's staff. I mean, we looked at when he came in, and he was kind of a check down guy, and Dennis Allen they said, okay, we're going to go with you, but we're going to put kid gloves on, and I think last year they Musgrave and Del Rio basically kind of opened it up a little bit. So he went on to say that he thinks that the Raiders are going to win the AFC West, and that Jack Del Rio is going to get Coach of the Year. Now, Del Rio's never won Coach of the Year, and he's been in the NFL for 10 seasons, right? So he's been a head coach for 10 seasons, 9 with the Jacksonville Jaguars, where he was 75 and 80 as a head coach, and where he had 3 winning seasons. So, and again, if you look at last year, we went from 4 wins to 7 and 9. And that's the best record that we've had since our 8-8 season, where we decided to kind of dismantle everything. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that we can win 11 games this year. I don't think it's a stretch to say that if Zimmerman can be the coach of the year, that Jack Del Rio can't be the coach of the year. And I think that this coaching staff has done so much. It's a real legitimate coaching staff. And I agree. I'm excited. I think Jack Del Rio with this team. Now let's remember, he didn't have a team like this in Jacksonville. When you look at this team, I think they're going to look at the offense, but the defense, I think, is what's going to really turn around and become a very feared unit in the AFC West this year.
No, I'm going to have to agree with you, and I'm going to add to it a little bit. You look at some of the other candidates, Bruce Arians, Mike Zimmer. There's some great coaches. When I look at Bruce Arians, I look at a coach that coaches a team that was really a Super Bowl contender last season. Minnesota jumped up and got a lot of recognition for what Adrian Peterson brings to the table as a running back. But more importantly, what Bridgewater was, he was more of a Alex Smith style, real conservative, real game manager style. So they're not really flashy. Now, we'll see what they become. But where Jack has the advantage here, okay, is a few different things. Number one, this defense, like you said, is going to be vastly improved. And when you think of defense, you think of Jack Del Rio, Ken Norton, right? So they're going to get a lot of credit and a lot of recognition for what this defense is going to do. And I'm telling you, people, this defense is going to make a name for itself this year. I'm not prepared just yet to rank them in the league or where they're going to land, but I guarantee you we'll break the top 10. I really believe that this defense has that kind of potential. So when you look at the offensive side of the ball, like we talked about, the balance of this team, in the offensive firepower that we do have with Carr, Cooper, Crabtree, Latavius Murray, who got over 1,000 yards last year, and they ran him too much out of the shotgun. So his potential is still there. And then you brought in DeAndre Washington. What I'm getting at is we're going to be a flashy team. Not only are we going to be a flashy team, we're coming from a 3-13 to a 7-9 to a playoff run and to end a playoff drought of 13 years. And all that plays big when it comes to voting. They're going to say, wow, we weren't talking about the Raiders for the last 13 years. They did not expect the Raiders to be anything. They didn't even expect us to be 7-9 last year. So he could have got some credit for that too. But the fact that we were only 7-9, he didn't. So this season, when we make our mark and we go at least 10-6, maybe we go 11-5, Jack Del Rio is going to be in the forefront. And all he has to do is get us into the playoffs, get us to high rankings on offense and defense, and actually make a push in the playoffs. And I think Jack can lock it down pretty easily. You expect it from Bruce Arians. You might even expect it from a guy like Zimmer. But even though we're getting a lot of media attention, we are not necessarily looked at in that way. All right, Raider Nation, this has been one exciting show, and we'd just like to thank you for tuning in. Check us out every day right here on the W2W Review channel, where we will cover top news like this on a daily basis. We want to appreciate your time. Pirate, do you have any final thoughts as we get out of here?
No. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for coming. We appreciate everybody. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Just go ahead and go down. If you are not a subscriber to this channel, we'll be producing content on a daily basis. So just remember to subscribe to us, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, and don't forget to go hit us up on Facebook at The Will to Win, Twitter at The Will to Win, as well as Instagram. And you can always email us at thew2w@gmail.com. That's thew2w@gmail.com. All right, guys, you guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.